Hello there, Neurobacks, and welcome to this quick guide on facilities for F1 Manager 2022. So we'll be going through all your facilities, what you should invest in, what you should probably avoid, and what a potential upgrade path might look like. So we'll be going through all these buildings one by one. I'll be giving some suggestions on when you should upgrade these, and towards the end of the video, I'll be giving you a potential upgrade path that I think would be most efficient in terms of improving your team. So with that, let's get right into it. With your factory here and the car development, your factory does one thing. It manufactures your parts after you have designed them. As you upgrade your factory, you'll get more project capacity, you'll get more development speed, but in general, I'd say your factory probably shouldn't be upgraded past level 2 or 3, simply because the upkeep goes up dramatically, the refurbished cost goes up dramatically, and in general, you'll probably end up saving money over the course of a season by, well, simply using emergency manufacture if you really need to. So I'd stop the factory at level 2 or level 3. That's basic personal preference though, so if you want to upgrade it further, feel free to it, but 2 or 3 should be enough. Now your design center is arguably your most important building. Your design center upgrades your project capacity, which means that you can do more more design projects or more research projects at the same time, maxing out at 4 at level 5, as well as engineers, which makes your projects go by quicker at 20 at level 5. So again, your design center is probably your most important building to upgrade, and it should definitely be at the top of everyone's list. Now your wind tunnel and your CFD simulator basically do the same thing. They give boosts to your stats that can be added to your design parts, or an expertise boost when you do research. So upgrading these is kind of important. It's not super important. They're limited in their usage. You have ATR periods throughout a year, and you have a limited number of hours you can use. Now, upgrading these is personal preference, but I'd say you want to wait with these, at least until you get your design center up and running. But after that, you can consider doing these too. Now your suspension simulator and your car parts test center again do most of the same thing. They give boosts to cooling, 2% per level, for a total of 10% at maximum level. The suspension simulator does it only for your suspension, and your car part test center does it for your side pods, chassis, and front wing. The car part test center is more important to upgrade since it affects 3 different parts of your car, and of course both your engine cooling and your brake cooling at a flat 10%. And suspension sim who only affects your suspension for a 10% at maximum. So honestly, I wouldn't upgrade these. I would wait until everything else is upgraded, simply because we have in our save been running 40% cooling for basically 3 seasons and not seen any, huge problems. There are currently no technical DNFs in the game, so even if your engine is magma, it'll still work. It might take a little bit more wear, but yeah, engine cooling doesn't seem to be a liability. Brake cooling doesn't either seem to be a liability. Some people theorize it increases your chance of lockup, but I haven't noticed any big changes really, or big bumps there, but it's a nice building to invest in. It isn't that expensive in upkeep, 334 and 250 versus say 1.3 million, 1.5, 1.3 million. I believe this is even 1.4. So they're nice to upgrade, but I would still just hold on with these until later and your more important buildings have been upgraded. Now the next is staff facilities, with we have 3: your team hub, your scouting department, and your race sim. Team hub is actually a very important building to some degree. It gives team attractiveness, morale, and more importantly, weekly experience gain for your staff. Now, if you're planning to grow your team and poach staff from other teams or get upgraded staff that may have been let go down the line, this probably isn't a super important upgrade to you, as you'll be switching out your staff. But if you already have the best staff and want to, maintain an advantage, getting the weekly experience gain bonus for your staff is a pretty good thing to do. So I'd say this one is important, but not super important. Focus on your car development buildings first. Next is the scouting department, and this one does something very simple. You get an extra scout with each level, but there aren't really a lot of things to scout. Whereas Season 4, the just finished season 4 at the Williams speedrun, and there haven't been a lot of new drivers, there haven't been a lot of new staff. 2 scouts will be more than enough to scout all of them, if you really want to. Again, 2 scouts can only fully scout 2 people a month, but it should still be more than enough. I'd rather save money than upgrade the scouting department. I just wanted to upgrade this to see if there was any bonuses to say finding more talent, but sadly it doesn't seem like there is. That is the case. So I'd keep this one probably at the bottom of my upgrade list, to be perfectly honest. This is a non-concern until you have plenty of money. Now, your race sim, on the other hand, is another building that I would focus on, especially if you have young talent in your team. If you do not have young talent, if you're running like the old guard, this might not be that important of a building to you, but it gives weekly experience gain for your drivers. Does not affect races, just passive experience gain weekly. So it might be very important for your reserve driver if you have a talent there. But honestly, if you have talents across the board, it's very important to get up. But if you do not, you can wait a little bit with this until you get car buildings upgraded. Now, the last thing here are the operation facilities. We have the boardroom, which gives race confidence gain and team attractiveness. Personally, I wouldn't go for this. It's a nice bonus to have, but not something super important. Of course, as a midfield team, it might be nice to get extra confidence gain from the board when you do well. But in general, this will not save you from getting fired in the long run. So it's a nice thing to have, but not something I would focus on unless I have a lot of extra money lying around. The hospitality area is kind of in the same boat. The only thing it upgrades is team attractiveness. If you're planning to poach people from other teams, it might be important, but other than that, you'll be good. Or if you want to attract, staff above your rating, if you will. Now, the team attractiveness bonus of 20% at level 4, 30% at level 5 could definitely help with this. So again, if you want it, get it. But honestly, once you have ran a couple of seasons, this team attractiveness probably shouldn't be too much of a concern. Now, your weather center is an interesting one, because as you upgrade it, your forecast accuracy will increase, and of course that helps in knowing when it's going to rain and how much it's going to rain. On the other hand, there aren't too many races during a season where it rains, so due to that it falls a bit backwards on my priority list, but it's still a very nice upgrade to have. In terms of your helipad, that one is an interesting one, because as you can see, it gives your sponsor target payout 5% at maximum level. And honestly, what that means is that once your team gets good enough, or gets stable enough, or just maintain its position, depending on where you are, where you can reach your sponsor's targets that you can elect to, go for each weekend, you should upgrade your helipad, because it will help giving you more money in the long run. 5% helps. The upgrade isn't that high at the maximum level, as you can see. It's 600,000 a year. And as you can see, it's just 150,000 to refurbish at max level. So you'll definitely end up making money with this. So again, helipad is a nice thing to upgrade. Also gives you some team attractiveness as a bonus, so no reason not to, really. Now, your memorabilia room is kind of interesting. I actually rated this as being important, simply due to the fact that it gives the biggest boost to morale for your staff and drivers. And, well, it's nice to have, but again, not critically important. Also gives some team attractiveness on top of that. Now, the final building is the tour center. The tour center gives you weekly income. At max level, it's 32,000 a week, which times 52 ends up being about 1.7 million. But if we also subtract the upkeep, we end up about 1.45 million. Now, here's the thing. Your tour center will need to be refurbished. Most likely twice a season, maybe even 3 times. So if it's twice, you have to subtract 800,000 of that again. So each season with a max level tour center, provided 2 refurbishings, we make about 500 to 600,000, which isn't that. It really isn't a lot. So honestly, I wouldn't upgrade this unless I have a lot of money to spare and no better place to put it, because it's going to take many a season to get the upgrade cost back. Now, we've gone through the buildings and basically what they do. Let's go through how your upgrade path might look like. So the thing that I would focus on in any team is to get the design center up as quickly and as high as I could. More project capacity means you can improve your car quicker. You can have more projects running. More engineers means you can finish more projects. So in general, this is a super good building that will allow you to develop your car at a very, very fast speed and generally get to the top of the grid quicker. Now, your wind tunnel and CFD simulator are the only other two buildings that I would focus on and the facilities here. But the science center is number one. Your wind tunnel and CFD will probably be a shared third place where you kind of want to keep them equal because they do give decent boosts, as you can see, but they have the negative part that they are locked behind your ATR, they are limited in their use, and they are quite costly. So early on, focusing on the design center, you might not have money for these two, so you could just hold on off of them until you get your design center up and running. These are basically just for boosting parts, or, you know, using them on research to get extra expertise. So they're nice to have, but not vital. The science center is far more important, and again, your factory, you don't really want to upgrade it past level 2, really. 2 or 3. And again, these two, we'll just wait with until we have everything else we need. Now, what would be number 2 on my list is probably your race sim. Simply due to, again, the only reason why it wouldn't be 2 is if you have an old guard and no good talent as a reserve driver, I wouldn't bother with this. But in general, being able to tailor your drivers to, you know, what you want will, over the course of a couple of seasons, give you some pretty good drivers, and they'll have exactly the stats you want. Team Hub is the same. If you already have your staff, getting that extra experience gain is still a very, very nice thing. Passive game for a long time does help. So Team Hub, Race Sim, depending on, you know, your staff and your drivers, it could be your second priority. Both of these, again, shared. So it depends on your team, really. Now, the operation facility is the only thing that I feel like you really need. It's just a helipad once you start getting, you know, scoring, hitting your sponsored targets. Because again, more money, more upgrades, better life. Your weather center is a nice thing to have, but it's not critical because there's so few races during a season that has rain. But again, it's very nice to have, not critical. Get your car development up first so you can actually start fighting for those podiums, start fighting for those wins. Again, Memorabilia Room here is nice. Hospitality area can probably help if you're trying to poach staff. But in general, Helipad, Weather Center, Memorabilia is what you want to focus on here. Then again, go Design Center. Number 1, if you have young drivers, good staff, go Team Hub and Race Sim. And then go back to your CFD, your internal, get these up so you can get better boosts, better expertise gains. And once you start really hitting those personal targets, get your Helipad up and running, get the Memorabilia, get the Hospitality, start upgrading what you feel like you need. But again, get the Design Center to 5, get your Internal and CFD up there. You don't need to get them to 5, 3 or 4 will do the trick. And then you can start focusing on other things. And it's the same for the Design Center, really. You can stop at 3 if you feel like you need to. At 3, you'll still have a decent position. So yeah, that was it about your facilities. I haven't been super clear, haven't given you a super good layout, but these are my thoughts. There aren't any really wrong things to do here. Again, the best thing is the Science Center. Everything else comes down to your team and your situation. It's very different from each team. So if you have any questions regarding that, feel free to just ask them in comments. I'll try and respond as quickly as I can. If you have any other things that you wonder about in this game, any other guys you'd like to see, please post them in the comments and I'll try and get to them. And in general, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If this video has helped you, I would be very grateful if you could like and subscribe. If you've already done that, thank you. And again, any other guides, anything that's unclear, feel free to just ask. There's no problem doing so. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye bye.